here. I'm going to stop my video, mute it, and throw the video on. So stand by.
An official Big Trouble in Little China spin-off novel available through Amazon.com and written by Matthew J. Elliott from Riff Tracks. Many copies still available. Wow. Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. I'm Ian Potter, or possibly Matthew J. Elliott. You don't know, I don't know, there really is no way of finding out. But I have a strong suspicion that I might be Matthew J. Elliott. And I'd like to say hello to you all at the Turkey Day weekend. I'm very, very jealous of you. We don't have Thanksgiving here in the UK, and I'm not going to lie to you, I've been jonesing for a little bit of turkey since last Christmas, so I really wish that I could be there with you right now. But look, you've got so many great entertainments coming up. You've got events, you've got guests, you've got Jonah's going to be making an appearance. Wow. You've got Mary Jo as well. Be sure and ask Mary Jo her opinions on the latest series of the Great British Bake Off. But before you do so, make sure that you tell her to keep the swears to an absolute minimum. Her opinions are strong and they are her own. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to get back to reading a book, and then I'll just pick up entirely at random and leave you all to enjoy yourselves on the Turkey Day weekend. Matthew J. Elliott out. What's that? Lost in Time and Space, an unofficial companion to the journeys of TV's Doctor Who, written by Matthew J. Elliott. Many copies still available through Amazon. Wow, this is the first I'm hearing of this.
I love that. Hey, I'm all about you promote yourself. Yeah, everybody should. So
I don't know who that handsome bastard was, but Hollywood needs to sign him up straight away.
Exactly. Get them on the phone. Matthew, I'm going to get the other thing going. If you want to go ahead and tell us what we're about to watch.
Okay, absolutely. Well, first of all, I really hope that you were focusing on that video, because while that was on, I was giving it the full Jeffrey Toobin, by which I mean that I was reading his New Yorker articles. I find his legal arguments very interesting. I'm also a fan of his bare penis. So yes, what we are about to watch is something that I did, a riff that I recorded at home, probably in front of these very shelves for the Turkey Day weekend, and it is a public information film. I don't want to give too much away because we have pre-recorded Matthew at the very beginning of it, I think, who gives a kind of an introduction. So this is my introduction to pre-recorded Matthew's introduction of the riff, but this is one of a series of the most unlikely British travel guides you will ever see in your life. So, Dina, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, let me get that queued up here. I'm going to.
Ah! Where is his chin?
Hello again, it's Matthew J. Elliott here, hoping that you're still enjoying your Turkey Day long weekend. I'd like to ask you now to join me in a quick thought experiment, if you will. Imagine that it's the 1970s and you are in charge of tourism in one of the UK's most unattractive and unappealing cities. Now, at your time of greatest need, who do you turn to for assistance? Have you thought of an answer? Let's see if you're right.
I spent hours in the beautiful 150-year-old botanical gardens, and there are 10 acres of it.
You absolutely did not.
St. Edburgas and the old grammar school, it's like looking into the past, and it's hard to realize that all this is so near to the hustle and bustle of a really great metropolis.
Tijuana, oddly enough.
I can't sing it like he can, but I can assure you, this is my kind of town.
Where the hell are we talking about again?
I was told to get there before it all blew away. It was spectacular cherry blossom time in Birmingham's Bourneville.
The cherry blossoms were so spectacular I could hardly see the city.
Elevated to the top of one of the city's highest buildings. This is the view that nearly took my breath away.
And then I realized I completely wasted my last day in this country. I mean, I could have visited Shakespeare's birthplace or gone down the Thames. But no, here I am in frigging Birmingham.
As far back as the 12th century, the land on which Birmingham now stands was owned by the D. Birmingham family, whose tombs can be seen in this, the Church of St. Martin.
Who doesn't enjoy a good tomb visit?
We're in the heart of the West Midlands. There are over 1 million people in Birmingham. 2 million a year use its modern rail terminal.
In the hopes of leaving Birmingham and never returning.
The international airport welcomes arrivals from all major European centers and important cities in Great Britain.
Of which Birmingham is not one.
Another way in is by multi-carriageway motorway.
It's also a way out, so bear that in mind.
Motorways mean problems. I visited the West Midland Police Motorway Control Unit, one of the most specialized traffic control groups in the world.
I'm prepared to bet £1 million you did nothing of the sort, Ellie.
I found the city exciting. The modern buildings reflect its position as the nation's industrial powerhouse. You feel as if you've been projected into the 21st century.
Specifically the year 2020. Feel the despair.
70,000 people visit the museum and art gallery every month. They're powerhouses of treasure.
But you'll have to take my word for it.
The sound of disco music was in the air, so I wandered over to see what gives.
No, you didn't.
It was an over-40s competition, and incredible.
I mean, I was in Horror Express, for God's sake, and yet this is the most embarrassing thing I've ever put my name on. Even the man your parents tell you not to go near in the park is having a good time. Ah, Doctor Who's 1970s companion Sarah Jane Smith also shakes her moneymaker. Mom, you're embarrassing me.
This is Mrs. Taylor. I'm sure somebody loves you, baby.
It could be me. Here's my hotel room key.
The Rotunda Tower is over the bull ring. It's 160 years since there was any bull baiting here. The ring is gone. Colorful markets have taken over.
But we all still secretly miss the bull baiting.
150 market stalls display their goods, whilst over them, intense traffic pounds along the elevated inner ring road.
I mean, look at it. Isn't it intense?
There's a sophisticated shopping center over New Street Rail Terminal. It has 200 shops, restaurants, and my favorite, British pubs. A nostalgic contrast is the old Great Western Arcade.
And I'm still in the pub, drinking away the shame of agreeing to voice this short.
I walked on the walkways,
Nope,
sat on the seats,
nope.
and admired the trees and shrubs in the spacious, traffic-free pedestrian precincts.
Again, no.
Birmingham's road systems are revolutionary. The Inner Ring Road, Queensway, a 4-mile circuit of dual carriageways, tunnels, and overpasses linking up with the main arteries of the city and the Aston Expressway.
And no matter how many retakes I do, there's absolutely no way of making the Aston Expressway sound sexy or sophisticated. It's just a road in Birmingham. Deal with it. I've learned to. Why can't you?
Yes, it's my kind of town. So long, Birmingham. Here's looking at you.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to spray Visine into my eyes through a hose for the rest of my life. I'm Telly Savalas. Good night.
Oh my word. I hope everybody enjoyed that as much as I didn't. Goodness.
The intense one is always my favorite. It still gets me every time when they're in the marketplace or whatever. So again, excuse me for my voice. I'm sure we have some questions from the folks in the chat, I hope.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I will go ahead and I know one from Tim from New Jersey. I don't see him here, but he submitted online. Of the riff tracks that you have done, what is your favorite one? Like what do you think you found the funniest yourself, like your best performance, I guess? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Ian holds me back tremendously these days, but it's that's a good question. What's the one where I think where I feel like I've been the funniest? I mean, weirdly, I guess it was Hangar 18. There was that was the first time. Oh, I'm just getting a message here that says my internet connection is unstable. So if you guys are having trouble hearing me, I'm sorry about that. But I think it was Hangar 18 because that immediately that we submitted that one to the Riff Tracks guys in America, because of course we record them over here, send them over there. Cheap bastards won't pay for us to fly over there. And I instantly got a new saying this is a really funny one, and I think we'd really tapped into something, and we were having a great time with just a ridiculous number of running jokes about soup machines. I remember trying to explain it shortly before we finished it to Mike, Kevin, and Bill. I had met them in the Sherlock Holmes pub in London. They had come to Britain shortly before, just to finalise the details of the Five Doctors live riff, and I met up with them there, and I was just trying to explain to them the whole concept of that we'd seen these massive computer banks in the movie and just decided out of nowhere that they were soup machines, and then had spent a ridiculous amount of time Googling what were the silliest and funniest soup names that we could think of. I think try this
Cockaliki.
Try this cockaliki, it's cockalicious. I recognise that voice.
Sorry.
I have allowed everyone to be able to unmute yourself so that you can come
The power.
and ask your question. But I do ask that you please keep yourself muted and until it's time to talk. Ian, please come back. We would
absolutely, Ian.
Since you're here, we've got you spotlighted. Let's say hello to Ian Pato, also of Riff Tracks. I'm sorry, I did not. I should have reached out to you.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen Ian all year, actually. We decided that we were this was pre-lockdown, that we were just never going to see one another again. So this has come as a huge surprise to me. And may I say he is looking magnificent.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
Keeping well, I hope.
Yes, you're looking well yourself.
Yeah. Although, strangely enough, I think maybe a sign that I've eaten too much is the fact that I woke up this morning by throwing up in my own mouth.
Oh, well, it makes a change from mine.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, and he's still trying to work out how I do that because we don't live close to one another. But it's I like to start the day.
The British mail system is majestic. Yes.
No.
No, you carry on because you are kind of the main attraction. I've just come to make it difficult for you.
Well, and we like that too. That helps. But no, Ian, next time I would love to have you on as well, or we could do a collab like this, a little panel thing.
Yeah.
So.
And it works out very. I saw. What on earth is 1 p.m. Eastern time? Oh, that's the time we're awake in Britain. This can be. I can come in and cause trouble.
And isn't it amazing that there's literally nothing else for Americans to do at this time of day that they're here?
Nope, we are here. We are here. We are here for you. Actually, mark your calendar now. I'm thinking about an Easter little thing, like this. So
only if he can do one that I can come in and heckle him at.
Oh yeah.
Well.
So Josh, hey Josh, you have a question, wherever you may be, Josh Flowers, if you want to unmute yourself, and if you're on, are you on?
Show yourself, Josh Flowers, will you stand up, please?
He may not have a thing, but there he goes.
Hello, Josh.
Hi, how's it going? It's going very well. You're on the air with Ian and Matthew. Please give us your opinions on whether the Bulls are going to make it the big dance this year. And we'll just switch off and listen.
Oh, well, great. No, so Matthew, I know you write a lot of riffs for other people as well.
Yes.
Do you find there's a lot of difference in writing jokes for yourself compared to others?
Absolutely, yes. We both Ian and I wrote with Mary Jo and Bridget on Last Woman on Earth, and I have done a little work on some Bridget's Mary Jo stuff. I wrote the entirety of Terror by Night for them, but yeah, it's a very different thing because we have our own little thing and the way that we like to build and expand upon jokes to the point that we can't remember what the original joke was in the first place. Whereas they very much like sticking to the point, and also they're not lovers of callbacks. Oh, hello! I'm getting Ian's very stern face staring at me now. They're not lovers of callbacks to the same extent that we are. And I believe I recently did, maybe it was for Baby of the Bride. I did a gag in there about Mary Jo's next door neighbors, the Maronis. Now, those of you who are real MSTies will remember that the Maronis are occasionally mentioned in old episodes of MSTie as being well known in the Pines as just a well-known couple. And I just threw in a Maroney's reference, and it didn't make it into Baby of the Bride. But on the other hand, there's always the possibility that it just wasn't funny. So there's that too. I've done a couple more for Bridget Mary Jo. I've done about 10 minutes on a short that's coming up. I don't want to give anything away, but remember the short that was done a while ago, which was like Introduction to the Internet. It's kind of one of those. It's from that era. And it is hosted by the most improbable person that you could possibly imagine. How they found General Idi Amin when I was sure he was dead. But that's going to be happening, and there is going to be another full-length one which I've done about 20 minutes worth of gags for, that stars Roddy McDowell and Eric Estrada, and I will say no more than that. Okay, so anybody else have a question?
Yeah, David, you had a question. You want to go ahead and unmute yourself?
Oh, David, you need to unmute yourself. Corner of the screen, dude.
Now you got permission.
There we go.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to meet you after having 3 of your riffs, Hangar 18.
Thank you.
Yeah, and let's see, Snow Beast, also, let's see, what was the other one? Well, I'll think about it later. But a lot of people would not consider riffing to be an English thing. They think it's an American thing, a Midwestern thing. So how were you able to approach the idea of this very vulgar, very ill comedy style of riffing? I mean, you're posh, you're English. I mean, how did you approach it?
Well, vulgarity has always been, a great tradition in British humor. I don't. If ever I see a double entendre, I whip it out immediately. Thank you. Nurse the screens, but. No, you're absolutely right, though. It is not a genre, not a style of entertainment that is hugely known in England. There isn't anything really like it. There have been, as I'm sure Ian will tell you next Easter when he gets the full. In fact, Ian, can we put Ian back on screen again, and you'll tell everybody about the stories of Ferdinand de Bargos.
And there you go.
Many years ago on British television, there was a series entitled The Fabulous Stories of Ferdinand de Bargos. And basically in that, it was British kind of comedy actors, mainly impressionists, talking over old footage, but cut together with a narrative. And that's really, apart from a thing more recently that Rob Brydon did called Director's Commentary, which talked directly as if he was the director in character over stuff, it's really not been done in the UK. And when I started doing it with Matthew, the main thing I had to do was explain to people what the heck it was, because we really have no real tradition of it other than, I guess, heckling in the theatre is the or Rocky Horror Interactive. There's nothing really like that happens over here. which means that Matthew and I were immediately the best ones, which was quite good. We weren't quite good, but we were the best ones. So yeah, it's not really known at all. But I think because Matthew is really, really versed in American humour, I think partly because he's also versed in American radio, that he got it, and I think as a consumer, you just worked out what you liked and did your own thing, and then I've come along and spoilt it essentially, by being someone who's entirely by being someone who doesn't really know the form and so messes around the edges, and then Matthew tries to make it behave again. So it's a nice dynamic tension, as they say.
Yeah, Ian,
as you know.
As Ian is something clever, which is really not my thing at all. It's true that there's no riffing to that extent over here. When I first got the gig, I was part of a comedy group, in very inverted commas. There aren't enough inverted commas in the world for it, called the Mystery Men, and my hope was that the three of us would be the British equivalent of Mike, Kevin, and Bill. That didn't work out. They didn't get it. They didn't see it. And I went forward because I very much did. But I could never, ever find anybody who was of a similar sense of humor, a similar frame of mind. And it was round about the time when I did the Expendables riff, the Sylvester Stallone movie, that I boasted, I think online. It turns out, by the way, that Ian and I both have a mutual friend in any case, which is how we're connected. But I was boasting online that I had done a joke about the ghost of Hervé Villechaize, and I was willing to bet that nobody else had ever written one. And Ian instantly came back with about 3 better jokes about the ghost of Hervé Villechaize, beginning, of course, with the astral plane.
I'm so relieved that's the one I was going for now.
And that was when I knew it was meant to be. That and the fact that when we were actually working on number 18, we were starting talking about the song Hips Don't Lie by Shakira. And I said, if hips could lie, what would they say? And we both instantly said, I'm an elbow. And there you go. Comedy gold. Paid for. People sat here who paid good money for that joke.
Okay. I have an online question from Daryl in Toledo, Ohio. He would like to know, Matthew, how do you respond to reports of Gandhi's alleged last words being, "Don't sanctify chickens, they're too delicious"?
You know what? The worst thing that ever happened to Gandhi was having his statue cut in half by Jack Burton in my non-best-selling novel, Big Trouble in Merry Old England. Still many, many copies available from Amazon.co.uk and also Amazon.com. A book that the New York Times described as put-downable. So I have no beef, if you pardon the expression, with Gandhi over his views on chickens. But I am very sorry for having his statue, which is a very real thing that sits in Bedford Square, I think, just outside the hotel that I usually stay at when I go up there once a year to host the film evening of the Sherlock Holmes Society of London. And I can open my windows and see Mr. Gandhi sitting there, looking very serene. And it always reminds me, as I'm leaving the hotel room, they go, my hat, my coat. Yeah, Ian is right to cringe. Ian is right to cringe at that one. I'm so sorry. Nobody wears hats anymore. Okay, anybody else? Anybody have a question?
You guys are doing great. Can we just talk about Doctor Who instead of Mystery Science Theater and Rick Tracks?
Absolutely.
Who's your doctor?
You know what? It's in terms of the first one that I remember, that's John Pertwee. I have some memories of his period, and I also distinctly remember the very first trailer that was run for Tom Baker as in his entrance as the Doctor. And I remember my mum saying to me, "That's the new Doctor Who," and thinking, "Well, that makes no sense whatsoever." Doctor Who is clearly a man who dresses like Jimi Hendrix and has white curly hair. This is nonsense. But I suppose my Doctor is, and it always has been, is Colin Baker. It was a controversial opinion for a long time until he sort of, in some ways, he's deemed to have redeemed himself through audio. I don't think he has redeemed himself. I think it's just that through having more of him, people are able to listen to more of him and go, oh, wait, actually, he was a good doctor. He combined so many elements of all of the other doctors that he is kind of the doctor's doctor. I think we should pass this one over to Ian.
For me, probably, but it's a later thing because it's Patrick Troughton, because I also grew up with John Pertwee and then became a massive fan in the Tom Baker era. And initially, my kind of idea of Patrick Troughton was from about 5 photos and some drawings based on the covers of books. And I kind of created this persona for who he was in my head. And then for a long time, there were only about 8 episodes you could see, and we couldn't see them. And you start to see him and go, he's just a really funny, clever actor. Mm-hmm. And he also he invents all the later Doctor business. I mean, Partner is amazing and is a geezer, but he is also a sod. And Troughton really does everything that Matt Smith does later on, but in black and white and at half the height. And basically, he is the template for all later Doctors, even Pertwee, who oddly is the least humorous of them because he, like Colin Baker's Doctor, is so full of self-belief that he's actually astonishingly arrogant and doesn't notice jokes half the time. But for me, it's always Troughton. And as Moore's come back, you realise just what an incredible guy he was and what an energetic social life he had. Which is worth reading up on. All through his life, right to the end, apparently, he had quite a time with it. And what a guy! What a guy!
And for our American people who are visiting, I knew I know that was ridiculous. That was ridiculously over assumptive of me. The chances are that you have seen Troughton in movies without even realizing it. He's in way more stuff than you think. If you've seen Jason and the Argonauts, you've seen him. If you've seen The Omen, you've seen him. If you've seen Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, you've seen him. He really was a ridiculously busy actor for the entire...
Scars of Dracula.
Oh, yes.
All sorts, loads of Tosh, The Omen. He's Laurence Olivier when he can't be bothered turning up as Richard III. He's all the long shots of Richard III because he was a similar kind of swarthy bloke, dark hair. Stick the wig on him, that's fine. You don't even know to go for the horse for Larry. You can send Pat out to do it. So, but anyway, he's in loads.
Yeah,
and so versatile.
Yeah, and not the only Doctor Who to be a long distance double because John Pertwee was a double for Danny Kaye.
Danny Kaye.
Can't remember the title of it, but it was set in London. But Danny Kaye.
Wonder Boy.
There we go. And Kaye couldn't be bothered coming over to England, so in all the long shots, he's John Pertwee.
Yeah.
There you go.
Have we scared them away yet?
I think so, yes.
David has a question. Let me add him in there.
Another one?
Hello again,
Ian mentioned that his favorite Doctor was Troughton. Are you aware of the animated BBC DVDs that they're making of Troughton's old episodes?
Yeah.
I just got the faceless ones for Christmas a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Did you see Evil of the Daleks too?
Evil of the Daleks hasn't come out yet, but Power has, yes. Yeah, it's a real learning curve with them. I think they tweaked Power and brought it out again because they're working with it's called Toon Boom Animate, which is used for a lot of kind of semi-animated stuff these days. And the thing with Troughton particularly is what a physical performer he is. And sometimes actually translating that into cartoon terms doesn't really work. The one which I think is superb of those is the Macra Terror, which really it pushes. I mean, the Faceless Monster is the same in sort of pushing way beyond what was achievable on a 60s TV budget. And so does Fury from the Deep, which has just come out, which is trickier because it's full of foam. And foam is the one thing you think, yeah, that's a breeze to animate. Foam coming out of lapping waves, and just with this kind of, it's a bold attempt, but it's basically material. It was really easy for the BBC to set up a foam machine and go where's your monster, shut up kids, to then animate that afterwards. But the macro terror really, the animation's really good, the cell shading's on it, it's dynamic, and they've taken the giant crabs, which were essentially laughable, and made them quite funky looking. And it's I mean, the Faceless Ones has lots in it that's charming and dynamic, but it hasn't a brain in its head, bless it. Basically, the villains are defeated because they leave a bunch of kids asleep in a car park, which just, as a plan for world domination, just seems crazy. Whereas the macro terror's actually got some quite smart stuff underneath the story of giant crabs invading a holiday camp planet. But yeah, they're really smashing. I wish they'd do some more Hartnells, to be honest, but I think because those are predominantly historicals that have got stuff missing, or huge and long with loads of Daleks, they're kind of saving them down the line. But they're good. They're good fun to watch. I personally, I'd rather be nerdy and listen to the soundtrack with a kind of script and try and work out all the shots as they originally were, because I am a freak. But sometimes you just want to rest and just let someone tell the story for you, and they're really, really good at that.
I was looking at meat trucking 40 years ago. Yeah, that's it. That's famous. Oh, okay. Hopefully that's coming into the States too.
One of the things that I think they could do, but I doubt they ever will, is now that we have had the novelization of the movie that Tom Baker considered making and didn't make, which was Doctor Who Meets Scratchman, which was an idea that he had with co-star Ian Marter for a screenplay. Heaven knows how far he ever actually got into it being written. Probably not as far as... Yeah, that sounds about right. But the book exists now, and now also the audiobook exists, which means the Baker's work is already done. He's recorded all of his lines, so it is conceivable that they could one day animate the whole of Doctor Who Meets Scratchman. And also, because of the fact that they'd originally wanted Scratchman to be played by Vincent Price, there is an American voice actor. It's one of the actors who does a lot of multiple voices on Futurama, and I'm kicking myself that I can't remember his name because I think it's Dave somebody or other, who does a superb Vincent Price. And I'm sure it's not beyond the wit of man to be able to cough up a few quid to get him in front of a microphone to do his price for it. And I'd love to see that.
Doctor Who and Scratchman. There you go. Top and take me. I am available.
We saved the BBC a fortune.
Thank you for your question, David. Hey, Jay, I'm going to throw you up on here, and you can say hello.
Hello.
Hello, Jay.
Hi. I wanted to say my first Doctor Who convention here in Trenton, New Jersey, was Patrick Troughton, and the two doctors had just come out, and he liked to refer to Colin's doctor as Miss Piggy from the Muppets.
We'll have to translate that one.
I catch that.
Miss Piggy. He used to call Colin Baker's doctor Miss Piggy.
What was that?
Okay. Thank you, Ian, for translating.
It went very glitchy, didn't it?
He was great at the convention, and they were having a costume contest, and someone came out dressed as him, and you hear him screaming from off stage, and he runs out in a towel. He says, "You stole my outfit."
Yeah, I suspect the reason he was only clad in a towel has nothing to do with the costume contest. But it's very weird because it's coming a long way from the Troughton when he was actually in the lead part in Doctor Who. He did not like to give interviews. I mean, I think there's only one recorded interview. Is it on the set of Abominable Snowman, Ian? And then subsequently, when he appeared on TV to advertise the Three Doctors during the 10th anniversary, he wouldn't actually appear as himself. He was introduced as the Doctor, although he blatantly looks more like Patrick Troughton. He wasn't wearing the Doctor's
got a little beard.
Didn't have the Beatles hairdo or anything, but wasn't introduced as Doctor Who, but just as the Doctor. So it was certainly quite a turnaround for him. And during the period when the show was sort of up in the air as to whether or not it would continue, because it looked very likely during Colin Baker's tenure that it was going to get cancelled. Troughton actually came into the Doctor Who offices and manned the phones for people again who were stressed about this news.
So I've completely derailed the entire conversation about riff tracks at this point, haven't I?
Yes.
I'm sorry to everybody who's not a Doctor Who fan in this room, but which of the actors, the Doctor Who actors, have you guys met? Have you met a number of doctors?
Okay, we'll go to I think.
I've met Tom, Peter, and Colin, and Sylvester actually. Then that's it. It's so. And you've met a few. I mean, I've met Peter Purvis pretending to be William Hartnell, but that's as good as you can get these days without a restraining order.
Yeah.
What about you, Matthew?
I met Pertwee when he was signing a signing event for his the Pertwee Years VHS cassette. I met Tom Baker when he was signing his autobiography, because at the time I asked him if he would consider writing a book of Doctor Who meets Scratchman, and he said, no. My sense of humor is very scatological. I don't think that would appeal very much. I don't know why he told me.
Do the voice, Matthew. Do the voice.
Yeah, I met Sylvester during the recording of one of the audios that I wrote for him, Maker of Demons. Didn't get to meet Colin. I didn't even know that the story that I'd written for Colin had been recorded. I was expecting them to come back to me with more rewrites. I don't believe that it didn't need more rewrites. I think it was just that the script editor was so fed up with his job that he went, "This will do." So I didn't get to meet Colin. I met Peter Davison after he had recorded Doctor Who story for me, Zaltis, on the set of a BBC drama which has recently aired called Life. Now, I'm not an actor. My daughter happened to have a small part in what they call an SA, which is a non-speaking artist, and she happened to be in one episode. And I approached him because, of course, I'm going to, aren't I? And saying, "Look, you don't know me, but I wrote a Doctor Who audio that you were in." And he went, "Yes, I don't remember it." I said, "Hang on, I haven't told you what it is yet, mate. It was about space vampires." No, sorry. It had Neve Cusack in it. No. But are they good, though? Are they good? Because Davison is famous for the fact that he doesn't basically prepare at all for them. And may I say, it doesn't show in his performance. I mean, you can. I was sort of in awe of the performance that he gave, because I could see him and his physical gestures as he was reading my script and dropping it onto the floor and stamping over the pages.
Okay, I'm going to stop.
I think there is a school of thought with some actors that they only need to know their part.
All right, back to riff track. Sorry, everyone. Andy's turn. What did you have for a riff tracks question, Andy?
Come on, Andy, ask me about Doctor Who.
He's gone Marcel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to screw with Ian and say I can hear him perfectly, and I don't know what's wrong with Ian's mic.
We cannot hear you, Andy, at all. I think he's still going. Shall we?
Andy, could you like write it down on the chat thing over there?
Sorry about that.
I was pointing, but my finger was like below the screen, so I needed to go like that.
Okay, put in the chat, Andy. We'll keep your video up so that you can, of course, see it.
Yes, and while we're doing that, I'll just read out the David wrote. I met Pertwee just before. Hello. Hey, Biffa Bacon! Brilliant. From the pages of Viz. It's for Americans who don't know, Viz is like National Lampoon when it was funny, but with more F and C words. Many more F and C words. Sadly, it's never made it to television, but there is a thing called the Profanosaurus, which is sort of an equivalent of, well, many of the things that appear in it eventually turn up in the Urban Dictionary online. But if you can get hold of the Profanosaurus, it's an enormous dictionary of swear words. It's very, very funny. Okay, Friendly Friday Frankfurter, says Steve, too much scrolling.com to everyone. I'm starting to feel like Cenk Uygur on those Young Turks videos that he does. You know, he's in the middle of talking and they'll just one eye will wander over and he'll say, oh, such and such buddy has just subscribed. Thanks for joining the Young Turks. Andy, how do you keep the US content relevant in your riffs? You know a lot about US. I do know a lot about US culture. Possibly slightly more than Ian, which is why a number of times during rehearsals, he will hit pause, stare at me and go, explain. That's happened. The danger is US culture overtaking us, particularly in terms of when people die. There have been a number of riffs that we've done where people have subsequently died. We were smart this time with a forthcoming riff where Ian took out a joke about somebody who is not, as veteran British DJ Sir Terry Wogan, expired, would say, not the Mae West. Not in the best of health, and it was probably considered wisest not to do that. And similarly, I should add, of course, I also write for American radio, as some of you may know. I did something like 26 scripts last year, and one of them was for an ongoing series, which is a modern-day detective series. So I throw in lots of current references, and I threw in a reference to a TV actor, which I thought was very amusing, and then got an email back saying, you do know that this person is seriously ill. And I was like, oh, now I feel horrible because I didn't know that. So that's always a danger, yeah. But I try and keep up with it. I'm always on the internet when I should be, doing writing and things.
But I mean, we have got 3 riffs ready to be released that are complete, and there is always that nervousness of, oh, hang on, did we mention politician X, who is now no longer in their office, perhaps? Yeah. Well, they're still in office at the time of recording. But there's all sorts of stuff like that where you go, oh, I hope they release this one soon because they didn't look well last time I saw them.
Yes.
But the other thing is and we're quicker now than we were, but there was a point where Matthew would do these brilliant topicals, and you go, well, we're not going to record this for a month. It won't be out for 3 months. Is that joke just going to be kind of by the time? But luckily, all our jokes are kind of and it just the texture is seamless.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll put in. Well, we will put in just to defy people, just to make them Google. You know, I forced people to Google who was Rebecca Lewis during the joke in Jurassic Park 3 about wanking off a dinosaur. And they didn't. The Americans don't know who Rebecca Lewis is. Google it now. But you know what? I had to find out who it was for. Who was Dale? You know, I didn't know that. Ian's still not sure what the hell I'm talking about. It's a reference to every time in a Mystery Science Theatre, you would see people's hands approaching like this. You would hear the line, "I thought you were Dale," and this is from a commercial that they were misremembering, which was a guy who pushes what he thinks is his girlfriend Dale into a pool, only to find out that it's her mother who has got such shiny and young-looking hair because she uses Head and Shoulders. But of course, that was a gift for us when we did. Purple Death from Outer Space, the Flash Gordon movie, which definitely does feature someone who we thought was Dale, because she was.
A Dale.
A Dale. There may be others.
Alan A. Dale.
Yeah.
That's too obscure, isn't it? That's too obscure. Let's roll back from that.
Batman Season 2, Episode 1, I think you'll find.
Okay, now you've gone dark with me. I mean, I was referring obviously to the Robin Hood guest character from the guest, as in works of fiction rather than a guest role. Sorry, yeah. I know we're all kind of medieval, kind of ballad people here. I won't stress the point too far.
No, but we will also. Charlton was one of the earliest Robin Hoods on British.
Yes.
Only about 10 minutes of one of his episodes still exists, and you will find it on the
Power of the Daleks Blu-ray, yes.
Yeah, there we go. So, the more you know about Doctor Who.
If we saved up, could we get a life between us?
I don't think so. I don't think even if we had a whip round amongst everybody who was on here, we could get a life between us.
All right, so Rob is working against us here and trying to get us back on track of Doctor Who. And he asks, what is Kieran Gillan's favorite film, greatest film? Kieran Gillan's greatest film, gentlemen?
It's Stuba.
The Uber.
There we go. There's no question. There's no argument. It's Stuba. Ian is just staring at me now. She's 5 minutes.
I have not been to see her in the pictures. I've only consumed her work in a room on my own. So I've never actually seen any of her films because there's just a whole Pee Wee Herman situation asking to happen there, and we don't want that.
Yeah, funnily enough, I got into an online discussion with a Robert E. Howard group that was talking about the possibility of a future Red Sonja movie, and they had some fan had a suggestion for an actress, and I said, "Well, what about Karen Gillan?" And he was obviously very snobby about this idea and did not like it. And he said to me, "Oh my God, can you even imagine?" And I said, "Yes, can I imagine Karen Gillan in a chairman bikini?" I was imagining that before the subject of Red Sonja came up. So, you know, please don't even go there. What is her greatest movie? I think The Rollers Nebula is fantastic because of the fact that she's essentially just a bad seed, and people go crazy about the fact that she really blows the whole thing for everybody in Avengers: Infinity War by just telling Quill that her sister is Gamora has been murdered, and just ruins the whole thing and basically destroys half the universe. But she just can't help herself because she's just deep down a bad seed. And in the very next film, Infinity War, and I'll be back on Endgame, just a little scene of her playing paper footballs with Robert Downey Jr. Just a wonderful, quiet little moment that is just beautifully played. And it's just one of the lovely things that you get in Marvel films and you don't get anywhere else. But she's also, I would add to, regarding Karen Gillan, she's also a superb filmmaker as well. And I have seen, a deeply disturbing short film that she did about as an actress who, let me turn this one over to Ian. Ian can tell you.
No. That basically, I was going to say, what about the thing where she plays the kind of the genre actress? I mean, really surprisingly knowing, I would say. But anyway, a lot of time for her.
Yes.
In fact, I'm wasting some of it now.
Back to a riffing question then. Tyler from Toronto, Ontario. This is an international show now. Tyler asks, what is your process? What's your workflow for writing riffs? How do you guys make this happen?
I thought he was going to say, what is your problem? Which would have been a far more acute observation, I think. What is the process? The process largely involves what we can get hold of. We're not obviously. There's no denying this. We're not the top level. We're not going to say get us this movie and then we'll go and get it and hang the cost. So numbers and figures have to be considered. So the more likely something is, for example, to be in the public domain, the better it is for us. And incidentally, Ian, have you noticed that Flight to Mars has now vanished from the RiffTrax website? Yeah, that's troublesome.
Ooh.
Yeah, I wonder if there's something that we didn't know at the time when we riffed it.
I know nothing of this.
Yeah, so that's so once upon a time, Ian and I would meet up fairly regularly and have writing sessions together where we would work through the thing. But it's just partly because of the lockdown, but also just because of the fact that it's kind of quicker because of the fact that Ian has so much on his plate. He's an immensely important man. That it's easier for us to both attack the movie ourselves and then meet somewhere in the middle. I mean, the current movie that we're working on, Ian has done a staggering amount on it, and I've done maybe the first 2 minutes. And the best that I've done so far is to notice that the lead actor has a hole in his T-shirt. So that's my major contribution to the forthcoming riff that we're supposed to be working on. But yeah,
but equally the one before was the other way around, in that you basically wrote most of it, and then I came in and heckled at the end, really, and noticed where there were gaps. But but we both write for each other, and we both try and do things that fit the other person's persona as it's kind of developed. Yeah. And also try and cause trouble for each other as much as we possibly can. This may just be me.
Yeah, but a little bit of Riff Tracks info here. That too, a nice Christmas surprise, because when we were writing for Last Woman on Earth, I did a whole bit, because there were two men in a boat, about the famed British humorous novel of the 19th century, Three Men in a Boat, by Jerome K. Jerome, his middle name being Klapka, but was written very much in the style of Ian Potter, who was the sort of person who would know that kind of thing. And it was very troubling for our American friends. And in the end, I mailed a copy of Three Men in a Boat to Bridget for a Christmas present for 2020. This year, I was going to mail her a copy of. I was actually going to send.
Three Men on the Pommel.
It had the sequel in as well. Three Men on the Bummel, which sounds like what it is not. A bummel was a 19th century term for a bicycle holiday. This year I was going to send Mike one of Ben Schott's Jeeves novels, because Mike is a big P.G. Woodhouse fan, but with the lockdown I just haven't had the opportunity to do so, unfortunately. But I'm pleased to say that I think that Mike's reference to All Creatures Great and Small in the recent Jim Carter riff was I was partially responsible for. They're huge Harriet fans, and you can't get the current BBC reboot of All Creatures Great and Small on American television. So I've been recording it and sending copies of it both to the Nelsons and also to Mary Jo. So I'm feeding an addiction.
So our addiction to riffing and all of these things that you guys have been creating, Tyler actually had a second half to his question. I don't know if this was a slight against you or if he was trying to put himself down. He said, what if you're just genuinely not funny? How do you write riffs?
Right. Well, being genuinely not funny is something that I've aspired to for the majority of my career. I mean, because it's hard. The fear that you will accidentally do something funny or in any way get better is the one thing that I dread. I try to keep it at a level. But if it's not that, if it's what do you do if you fear you're not funny? I see what you say. I think I see what you're saying, because there's our problems are just finding your way into a gag sometimes, because you've got to find those entrances, those spaces in the movie where you can say this, where you can say that, and sometimes the space occurs and there's just no gag, there's nothing there, and sometimes you just have to get up and walk around, and sometimes a day or two can pass, and you'll go, that was the joke, that was it. And it's amazing the number of times that comes to you in the middle of the night, or when you're just waking up and you go, oh, that was the gag that fits in that space. And that's a satisfying moment but it's a slow, that can be a slow process, but it does happen.
So do you keep a pad of paper by your bed for those moments?
I do not. I should, but I do not. I'm an idiot like that. Amusing story though. Winston Churchill used to keep a pad and paper by his bedside in case he had any brilliant ideas during the night. And one night, famously, he had a dream and realized how the world could be made, to quote Douglas Adams, a good and happy place as a result of it, and wrote it down, went back to sleep again. And when he woke up in the morning to check what the brilliant idea was that would save the world, it simply said on the pad of paper, the world is suffused with the smell of turpentine. Leader of the free world. There we go.
Brilliant mind. Excellent, wonderful. Gentlemen, we watch all of your fantastic riffs. We are fully entertained by your work. Thank you so much for everything that you've done in 2020 to keep us sane.
Yes, so thank you guys for being a part of this, and yeah, let's catch back up when I can talk again. Do this.
Absolutely,
again.
let's do this again in Easter. But let me just say, Ian, it's sensational to see you again. It's been far too long.
It's been lovely to see you. I thought I was just going to come in and abuse you, and the spirit of Christmas has come over me, and it's lovely to see you. Take care now on those stairs.
You specially greased for the occasion with the leftover duck fat from the roast potato.
If I had £1 for every time I've heard the expression, especially greased for the occasion, I would be delighted.
I think that's actually what it says on your. You know what? I can't even remember the name of the online dating thing. So it's the joke really dies in front of me. Never mind.
Nice.
on your online dating status, let's say that. And let me just go and grab my time machine. We'll go back and we'll pretend that the last awkward 45 seconds never happened. So thank you to everyone for having us. God bless you all. Have the rest of a remainder of a Merry Christmas. Enjoy 2021, and here's to all of you.
As you know.
Thank you. Folks, we're going to close down the room so we can get it reset for. We're going to watch Addison Beneke. I say his name wrong all the time. We're going to watch some of his movies to watch on Christmas afternoon. He's going to pop in and say hello. Then after that, there's the virtual happy hour at 6 p.m. And then at 7, we get to talk with Bees McKeever. I'm so happy. I'm pissed that I can't talk because I have so many questions, but that's what it is.
She's a legend.
So, hey, if you guys are still awake and you want to pop in, feel free. So, thank you again, everybody who's been a part of this. Be sure, check out their work if you haven't. I think you can actually search by y'all's names. It shows you what riffs you guys have done. So be sure to check them out. Thank you guys. We're going to stop all the recording in the room. And as always, we have to wave on the way out. You just keep on waving until